Tonight, support for drought-affected communities as the dry takes its toll on community confidence. And emergency services on full alert this festive season.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. As the drought continues, a new Rabobank survey has shown the toll the dry spell has had on local primary producers. It comes as the state government steps up its support for struggling farmers.
The Rabobank Rural Confidence Survey has shown a decrease in confidence in the last 12 months.
The reason they would expect conditions to deteriorate is not because of price, it's not because of what's going on in the global markets. The reason they expect conditions to worsen is purely because of the seasonal conditions.
Although the farmers are looking up for the long-term future.
The farmer investment intentions are still quite strong, so those that are expecting their investment to stay the same or to continue to increase.
However, there is relief for drought-stricken farmers, with the state government today announcing a $21 million package that will see support both financially and mentally.
Giving South Australian drought-stricken farmers, some financial support, but keeping in mind that their health and well-being is front and centre for the government.
The way that it actually acknowledges that there is actually, people are out there wanting support and assistance.
The package also offering a 50% rebate for council rates as well as support.
And certainly around the financial counselling and the family and business support side of things, that's also been increased, funding there. We'll provide a lot of support for the farmers and pastoralists in the area. 680 farmers are eligible, with more possible in the future.
Should this drought continue, we could see as many as 2,100 farming families that will be looking to access the drought support measures.
The government are also urging all farming families and businesses to contact local support networks. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Lincoln Emergency Services had a different type of rescue in Lincoln National Park last night. Authorities were called to Spalding Cove just after 8 yesterday evening, after a member of the public found a stranded whale calf 100 metres offshore.
It managed to turn itself around into facing deeper water, and then over a period of time it slowly made its way back into the deeper water, and our rescue boat kept an eye on it until it disappeared.
Sadly, it beached itself again this afternoon. Authorities were forced to euthanise it. They'll now work with Adelaide Museum to determine what happened. Broken Hill was plunged into darkness last night after a dust storm hit the city. The storm rolled in just after 8 o'clock, covering the mining town in a brown haze. Drivers caught in it had their visibility impaired, with wind gusts reaching 70 kilometres an hour. The storm passed about an hour later. It's the second severe dust storm to hit the city in 10 days. Police are investigating a break-in at a Wyler pharmacy yesterday, where a person stole a quantity of medicine. It's the second break-in at the store in the last 12 months, with this incident causing significant damage.
Devastated with having to fix unnecessary damages, a chemist owner is now $4,000 out of pocket during the already expensive holiday season.
So at 4:30 in the morning, the alarms went off. Someone forced entry through the roller door and smashed the glass.
CCTV footage caught the suspect wearing a hooded Nike jumper and black Lonsdale shorts when he broke into the store on Eekbom Street.
It's possible the person responsible injured themselves in the process after crime scene investigators located several drops of blood.
The man broke in locked cupboards, stealing medications and also money from the till. Police searched the area but did not locate the suspect.
This happened about the same time last year. It's devastating, and we're really devastated for our shop owner.
Business is now running as normal, with staff thankful for the community's support.
Everyone was really supportive. Everyone was commenting on how terrible this was.
Yeah, I'm quite sure. I wonder why the front doors weren't open.
With the front glass smashed and the roller door severely damaged, customers are being forced to use alternative means to enter the building.
Anyone who recognises the man in the CCTV footage is asked to call Crime Stoppers. on 1800 333 000.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Emergency services are preparing for the festive season, with volunteers set to be on call over the Christmas holidays. Port Pirie SES members say the time is one of their busiest periods of the year.
The festive season is a relaxing and resting time for families nationwide, but there's no break for emergency service volunteers who remain on call.
Our volunteers are always ready to respond, even though it's Christmas and they're having holidays and they might be having Christmas lunch with their families. They'll certainly be out there responding if they're required.
The state's roads are expected to get busier, with many residents travelling to holiday destinations. The SES is working closely with police to combat South Australia's horror road toll.
We're trying to get the road safety message out, asking people to please be careful on the roads, please drive with the conditions, don't be impatient, mindful of your fatigue levels.
And with fire danger season now active, the CFS are warning those camping to stay alert.
How do they find out where they are, and how do they get the emergency warnings that they need to get if they're camping somewhere and they're not within their normal surrounds?
But authorities say they'll still be getting into the festive spirit.
Be putting a bit of tinsel on my vehicle there. You just never know what you're going to see around here. We're preparing. We've got our rosters in place for both staff and volunteers to make sure we've got a ready response.
Mid-North services will be meeting in Burra to discuss road safety this Friday. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, Port Pirie Airport to get new fencing, and late night shopping comes to Broken Hill ahead of Christmas. Welcome back. Port Pirie Council has secured state government funding for a new fence around the airport. Management says the aerodrome is a vital piece of infrastructure for the Mid-North community.
Setting new heights in Port Pirie. Port Pirie Airport may not have passenger services, but is still active every day. The aerodrome groundskeeper is kept busy both on land and in the sky.
The aerodrome is very important to the economic of Port Pirie. The flying doctor comes in 2 to 3 times a day sometimes. We have charter flights and a lot of training flights.
Fencing has been completed on 2 sides, with state government funding put towards the roadside boundaries.
$15,000 of funding towards the fencing. So now we need a contractor to help us install the fencing.
Trying to stop stock and animals getting into the aerodrome, which is a very important part of safety for Port Pirie Aerodrome.
Funding also put towards a weather broadcast system to keep those in the sky safe.
Especially the RFDS, when it comes in bad weather, they can dial up the frequency and will tell them what the wind and the weather is like on the ground at Port Pirie.
The Royal Flying Doctor aren't the only organisation to use this airport, with mail and training services regularly flying in.
We also have firefighting capability, and we've worked with the CFS over a number of years to put infrastructure out there for them as a first response.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
After a successful Black Friday sales bonanza, Broken Hill businesses will extend their trading hours tomorrow night. They hope the late night shopping will encourage locals to think twice before buying online this Christmas.
Open for longer. After the overwhelming successes of Broken Hill Black Friday, local stores are keen to keep the sales surge going. The newest idea, introducing late night Christmas shopping.
Lots of the other traders will be open until 7:30 with lots of specials on, and we're hoping the public might come down and do some after hours trading.
Michelle at the Lollipop Tree says having the city's businesses working together can only benefit the local economy. Stores in the main street will have extended trading hours over the next 2 Wednesday nights.
The retailers are trying as hard as they can to be what the general public want them to be, so we just really need that support. It's a really important trading period.
Mr Nash says it's all about attracting locals to shop locally and getting them to see what the city has to offer rather than looking online. Parents also encouraged to bring their kids down.
I've actually got Santa Claus coming in from 5:30 till 7:30 tomorrow night.
It's a great opportunity. Good to see the local traders banding together and doing these things en masse. So most of the shops should be open and should be a good night.
A number of stores will be offering discounts as part of the late night shopping. Local cafes near the CBD will also be staying open into the evening. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill councillors will hold their last monthly meeting of the year tomorrow night, with lead testing on the agenda. The meeting is brought forward every December to avoid council's Christmas shutdown. Mayor Daria Turley has confirmed she'll put forward a mayoral minute. She's calling for state funding for a local lead testing program for children to be continued into 2021.
Their funding finishes in June 2020. I want to make sure that our council steps up and says this is an important program.
The meeting starts at 6:30. A revamp of the playing surface at Port Augusta's Central Oval is running on schedule. Local council have worked closely with Living Turf to ensure it's ready to go for the 2020 sporting season.
A once-in-a-generation job for local Port Augusta Council. Central Oval's turf getting some much-needed TLC.
It's certainly not something that's done regularly. Councils like this might undertake something like this once every 20 or 30 years, so it's not something that's done regularly.
The council matching the state government's fund of $486,000. Council says the revamp is on track to be completed on time.
And we want to make it there available for our community. That's the whole idea of this area and the facility, so the sooner we can get that there for them, the better.
The Mayor hopes it'll help attract sporting events.
We ought to have different opportunities for sport there, possibly the AFL Women's League, soccer, the current regional football, and we should be able to cater for many other larger sporting events with a very safe turf.
We can see how important sport is to regional areas, and and I think this whole Central Oval facility is just something the community should be very, very proud of, and hopefully the playing surface will add to that.
Living Turf say this isn't your average job.
There's been a bit of science that's gone into it, there's a bit of engineering that goes into it. We don't just sort of mix some soil up and slap some grass down, a bit of thought goes into it.
The turf is expected to be laid in the first week of January, ready for next year's winter sporting season. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. We review the year that was in Port Lincoln, and the Bennett Oval redevelopment takes a step forward. Welcome back. It's now time to review the year that was in Port Lincoln. Oil drilling in the Great Australian Bight and the farewell to the century-old railway dominated the headlines. Nathan Regter spoke with member for Flinders, Peter Treloar.
Peter, thanks for meeting me today. It's been a massive year here in Port Lincoln and on the Eyre Peninsula. I'm sure there have been plenty of highlights for yourself.
Well, I think most recently the government, South Australian State Government, made some changes to the patient assisted transport scheme, and what the PAT scheme does is provide a subsidy for those people who live in this part of the world and need to travel for specialist health treatment.
Now Peter, a big topic that's dominated the news this year has been Equinor's plans to drill for oil in the Great Australian Bight.
Yeah, so Equinor is the latest company to show interest in the Bight. It really is a federal jurisdiction, and NOPSEMA are an independent regulator who have responsibility for assessing the applications and making a decision, and that process is going on at the moment.
Port Lincoln's well known for being a seafood capital, so how have our fisheries fared this year, particularly with the snapper ban coming in?
Yeah, so the state government, the new state government came to power with an undertaking to reform the fisheries. Now, of course, here on the West Coast and the Eyre Peninsula we have both a commercial sector and a recreational sector, so we have to consider all of those. The snapper ban will affect both, and it was a difficult decision that the Minister for Fisheries took.
Now Peter, we've heard some hard stories from our farmers this year who've been hit by the drought.
Yeah, so another dry year for many of our farmers, particularly on the eastern Eyre Peninsula. What's happened most recently is just today, in fact, the state government has announced a further $21 million in drought assistance that will go towards rate relief for affected farmers and farmers who qualify. Also extra money into rural business support. Fingers crossed that 2020 will be a kinder season.
We've also said goodbye to our century-old railway.
Yes, look, it was disappointing and I was as sad as anyone, but the result of that, of course, is that our grain harvest, our grain freight task is now on the road. Now, the upside, of course, is that we've committed extra funding into our roads.
Peter, there's no doubt we've had our fair share of challenges this year. Just recently, the devastating bushfire that broke out on the outskirts of town.
Yeah, look, it's a reminder that we do live in a fire-prone landscape. It's imperative that we all remain vigilant and prepared, I think. But I would take the opportunity to thank and congratulate our emergency services who on a day such as that and throughout the year just do an extraordinary job serving the community.
Port Lincoln is continuing to grow as a festival hub. We've had Salt Festival, Tunerama, but we've also attracted a few big names to the region as well.
Yes, of course, Kiss, a rock band from the 1970s, were here recently, so that's exciting. And you're right, our festivals continue. Tunerama will be coming up in the long weekend in January, Salt soon after that.
Peter, thanks for your time. It's been a wonderful 2019 from myself and the viewers. We wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Look forward to seeing you again in the new year.
Thank you, Nathan, very much. It's been a pleasure working with you and the team at Southern Cross, and I'd wish you and the viewers a safe and happy Christmas and New Year, and I look forward to seeing you too.
The redevelopment of Whyala's Bennett Oval has reached a significant milestone. Framework for the multi-million-dollar project is now up, with the first part of the structure forming new offices and bathrooms.
A new building structure, soon to be used by thousands. The Bennett Oval redevelopment is running a week ahead of schedule.
Progress is great. The steel erection has gone up 1 week ahead of schedule, which is great. So they're all looking on track to finish on time.
The benefit for our city is it's going to give us a great economic boost. It's also going to offer a fantastic event for the city and also for the people regionally who are big AFL fans.
The council have been working alongside Mossop Construction and Interiors to complete the project.
So they've finished the external cladding at the moment, and they've started work on their interior fit out with the plumbing and electrical.
While keeping a touch of history, the ground is being brought into the 21st century, the Mayor getting excited for its completion.
Can't wait to come and watch the game. And there's thousands of people in the city that are also very keen to see Port play the Bulldogs.
Although many locals are eager to come and observe the progress being made, council are asking residents to stay away from the site while construction is taking place due to safety concerns.
I want to let the public know to keep out of the construction site for sure. Definitely welcome to come have a look from the perimeter fencing.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We have a wrap-up of the latest sports results, and Britt has the latest weather details. Hello again. It's been another entertaining round of local basketball in the Spencer Golf as the associations prepare to break for Christmas. Here's Patrick with a wrap-up of local sports results.
In the recent round of Port Pirie basketball, there were some high-scoring games. One local player set a new season high. The Ducks maintained their spot at the top of the ladder, downing Tomcats by 9 with a strong second-half performance. Rusty Adona top scoring with 18 points. In the other game, Lawson Munzburg set a new personal best this season, draining 31 as his side Pacers beat the Globetrotters. Munzburg is averaging 23 points a game. In Port Lincoln, Peckers breezed past Lincoln South Yellow 48-27. 30 points from Jamie Lowe saw Rangers 2 continue their climb up the ladder, while Rangers 1 had no problem in their game against Lincoln South's Blue. Terry Boyce and Beau Clark in good form. Moving over to Whyalla, and 45 points between Elliot McNamara and Tom Quinn guided Demons to a victory over the Braves. Ladder leader Wildcats worked hard to down the Roos by 15. Jordan Burns very accurate, scoring 25. In Port Augusta, and the top of the table tussle between the Eagles and the Wildcats came right down to the wire. The Eagles holding on to win 46-40. Some good team scoring saw the Titans power home over the Cobras. The margin for that match was 21 points. No softball in Whyalla this week due to extreme heat, but there was some seniors baseball. Indians beating Tigers 8-5. Indians pitcher Brandon Gibbs was throwing some smoke, recording 12 strikeouts. Tigers shortstop Jake Luyaston was terrific in the field, taking 3 catches and turning 2 double plays. Finishing off with Broken Hill tennis, and congratulations to the Top Spins and the Could Have Beens on winning their respective grand finals. Top Spins beat the Drop Shots by just 3 games in the Open A final on Thursday. Despite the 5-1 scoreline, it was a tough night for the Coulda-Beans, playing some epic sets against Mac Black. Thanks to everyone who sent in their results. Our weekly wrap will return in 2020.
And with a look at what's happening in the weather, here's Britt.
Thanks, John, and good evening. 35 was the top temp today at Broken Hill, Port Pirie 30, Port Augusta 29, Adelaide 26, Whyalla 25, Port Lincoln 18. From the satellite, low cloud about the region but remaining relatively dry. To tomorrow on the Gulf waters, southerly winds tending southwesterly at 20 to 30 knots with seas up to 2.5 metres. Mostly sunny conditions with strong winds about the eastern Eyre Peninsula, the mid-north and the Flinders Ranges. Broken Hill 35, Corn 34, Woodner 32, Port Augusta and Port Pirie 31, Clare and Kadina 29, Whyalla and Adelaide 27, Cleve 24, Coffin Bay 22, Port Lincoln 19. Further through the week, a fine day expected at Port Lincoln on Thursday, cloudy on Friday, Cleve looking fine through the remainder of the working week. Woodner partly cloudy Thursday and Friday with a sunny start to the weekend. Whyalla looking mostly fine over the coming days, Port Augusta fine on Thursday, sunny on Friday. A partly cloudy forecast for Kadina. Port Pirie and Clare both looking partly cloudy through the rest of the week, and finally to Broken Hill where it's looking to be fine on Thursday, sunny Friday and Saturday. And with that, John, it's back to you.
Thanks, Britt. And that's the local news this Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have some updates later in the evening. We leave you now with the best Christmas light displays in Port Lincoln. On behalf of the team, it's good night.